Okay, I need to stop looking at TRVL because Cool Things has just asked the question. S. Right, we'll come right back to TRVL. You're the only one here, Cool Things. So because you've asked me a question, and I'm gonna have a look for you. I'm gonna interrupt my stream. I like chatting to people, so you know, it kind of gets lonely sometimes. Sometimes I get lots of people, and sometimes I get not many people. So when people come, I'm like, yeah, let's chat. Just have my protein shake. All right. S. Is S good? I obviously haven't had a look at S ever. So I have no idea. And I can't even find it. What the hell? What's the name of S? S token. Sonic. Okay. That makes sense. Almost $1 billion market cap. 67 million in volume. So that after the launch, the price has just dropped. It's down about 60 or 70%. Launched in January. So it's only gone down this year, huh? Just gone down. I honestly have no idea about this token. It launched earlier, look, 6th of January. Is it 6? 6th of January, whatever. So let me see if I can find the launch. '16th of January. Oh, FTM. Well, I know FTM. FTM was good, huh? I've got FTM. Let me have a look at FTM. All right, I see. I have no idea. Fantom. I have no idea. And they've removed Fantom, haven't they? Look. Oh, that sucks, because I thought Fantom was actually really bullish when I looked at it last. I remember very clearly. It was kind of really nice. Okay, so that makes a lot more sense. But let me see if I can get an earlier launch. Let's see, next, what's that, 6th, 7th, next C. OKX, 22nd, Bybit. Interesting, they all launched on different dates. Look, this says Sonic. Look, this is S. This is probably joined with Fantom. Look, on Gate. I don't know how, but they've somehow joined it. I'm guessing. It's actually the most interesting chart. This one. Let me just put it somewhere. What ones should I look at? I don't want to complicate this, and I don't want to take too much time, but I will have a look at this Gate.io one because it looks like they've somehow joined it. I can find it here. And now there you got the US dollar, so that's the index. I'll have a look at that too. And then the other thing I'll have a look at is if they have a BTC chart, wherever it is. have a look at the BTC chart as well. So have a look at those three independently. That doesn't help. Yeah, I can't. I hate when they do this with these tokens. So bizarrely, I'm just going to have a look at Gate, because Gate has the original data. Look, they've joined it. I'm going to have to come back in 2 minutes because I need to use the loo. Right, give me 2 minutes. Right, apologies, I'm back. Just have a look at the spot. Does it have perpetuals? Yeah, $23 million volume. Look at that. And the spot, right? So that's really the one we want to be looking at, the Binance perps. I think that's where the most of the volume is right now. Let me see if I can find it. This is the one here. Swap. So, all right, we'll get rid of this one. I'll just put that one on there. That's better. And then this one, I just wanted to have a look at it, but let's just get rid of it. So we're looking at two separate charts. Okay, one is after the rebrand on Binance perps, and the other one is some kind of merge chart on Gate.io, okay, with the previous token, which was Fantom. You said it was Fantom. So let's look at both of these charts and see if we can find something interesting. Okay. So I'll have a look at this one first. I think this is more relevant because it's got more data, hasn't it? Data is really important. And clearly, as you can see, it's in the range, the volume range, and it's above the point of control. Okay. Got quite a lot of data here, so let me just go to the 3-day chart. Let me just chuck these in. Value area high, low, control. I like to keep this as reference. 5 waves. You had 5 waves there, which I've done this before, by the way, when it was FTM. But you can see, forget about these wicks. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right up to the top there. And then you went into this kind of bear market. And then after that, you have a pivot low here. Wave 1. Wave 1. How much was that move, that original move? See, I see this a lot, where you have really big moves and you have a prolonged correction there. Look at that. Crazy. That's a crazy move. I think what's more likely than not in this circumstance is we see like mini impulses, but we haven't seen like a real impulse. Because these aren't really big enough compared to what it was. These, you can see here, these big impulses, they're massive, aren't they? Look, the first one was 1,000%. This second was 4,000%, and then this one was like another 1,000%. These are really big moves, and then we haven't seen that kind of big move in this market. 250. That was the biggest one, 500%, and then 350%. That was the biggest one. That was October, when everything went, yeah. So the question is, are any of these impulsive? They look impulsive. Actually, probably the most impulsive one is this one. Yeah. Although arguably, technically, you could argue that that's an impulse there for 1, 2, something like that, for a wave 1. But then what the fuck is this? And so you have to look at it in context. Yeah, if you have, let's say that was the first wave, let's say this was the end of the first big wave, and you have a correction there, then why, this should continue. That's what you're expecting. You're not expecting it to just go up and then what is the rest of this? Then was that the next wave? Was that a correction down to the next wave? No, because you're breaking the rules. If that was the first wave there, you can't come underneath the top of the one, and so it breaks. And then again, we have this in a lot of altcoins. Well, then is this whole thing a corrective, like an ABC type move or something? Again, it doesn't really follow. It doesn't really make any sense, because this next wave on this token is the big 3, because this one, technically this one was the big one, was the one that was the first wave, and now we're looking for a big 3. The 3 is usually the biggest. It doesn't have to be, If it's smaller than the wave 1, then 5 is going to be smaller. But whatever happens, the Elliott wave rules have to apply. And so in the context of these waves, let's just say that's the bottom, that's the starting point, that's where it ended, so that's the top of the 1. We have a 2, then you have 3, 4, 5. That's what you're looking for on a higher time frame. And the rules are that whenever you complete the 3, the 4 can't come underneath the top of the 1. Cannot. That's the rule. Yeah. If the 3 is shorter than the 1, then the 5 has to be shorter than the 3. And actually, in this context, it's likely that the 3 will be shorter because the 1 went up 225,000%. So the 3 is going to be shorter. Whatever happens, wherever we start, the 3 is going to be shorter. And therefore, the 5 is going to be shorter. So you're going to end up in a situation like this, potentially, for a higher time frame Elliott wave move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But whatever happens, the 3 has to overshoot the top of the 1. Otherwise, you're not going to get this 4 to backtest the top. But again, you could get in, and this is what I've seen this a lot. You could get into a situation where you have a 3. This comes back under, so it invalidates, and you end up with a higher time frame from the top there, higher time frame WXY, and actually it has, you just get really impulsive corrective moves, getting ready for something. You won't be able to hold the 4 on the top of the 1 like that. That's what you're worried about, because if you can't hold the top there and you just come under, then it invalidates, and so this can't be the, then this can't be the 3, because you've just broken the rule. Okay, at the moment what I'm looking at is possibly a corrective pattern, possibly. I don't know. I'm just wondering if if we haven't had actually any move here yet. And I'm also contemplating that, I don't know, because we don't know how, what ultimately it's all down to Bitcoin. Some kind of higher time frame. This with the next wave, whatever. More like that, or something like that. More likely to be something like that. It all depends on Bitcoin. Yeah. But actually, just looking at it now, I mean, I think there's a possibility for a big move, because it's clearly bullish, because we've just gone, FTM's just gone sideways, hasn't it? After this big expansive move, it's just gone, the whole thing's just gone sideways. Yeah. And just looking at this correction, I'll go slightly higher. I mean, look, there is a possibility that this correction's over. You have something like this. You have some kind of 5-wave correction down, something like that. You can call it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or A, B, C, D, E. It doesn't really matter. You've got some kind of 5-wave move down here, which is your first corrective. Then you have some kind of A, B, C there. And now we're looking at an A, B, C there, aren't we? For something like this. So potentially you have this, a possibility where actually this is the correction. Yeah. Doesn't mean that we get a wave 3 here. Just bear that in mind. Because you'll only know if it's a wave 3 if you get a 4 and it holds the top of the 1. You'll know only when this happens. So you get a wave 3, that's your exit, the wave 3, and then you just have to wait to see what happens here, because if you lose the top there, it invalidates this idea. Yeah. Now, it doesn't mean that that's not a wave 1 and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a new wave 3. It doesn't invalidate the wave 3 idea. It could still be a wave 3. It just means we haven't ended it, and it's quite dynamic how you count Elliott waves. You just have to kind of plot the data as it comes in, and it's always lagging, isn't it? It's never leading. So it just gives you ideas of kind of where to exit or where to take profit and what to look for. But ultimately, possibly you have an idea here where you have a 5-wave corrective down, you have an ABC up and an ABC down, and this could be the end. Yeah. And the next move will be a 5-wave expansive. Whatever happens, I'm probably looking for a 5-wave expansive. I don't know if it's the beginning of the free or if the free is going to end like this. I have no idea how this is going to play out, because again, with waves, you get 1 2, you get 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, and it just keeps on going because you keep on creating a 1. All right, so there's lots of nuances in the way this can play out. Okay, but just looking at this now, it's okay, because what's happened is you've got a nice reaction off the point of control in the value area low. Yeah, and you're still in the value area in that range. So you're basically still going sideways. This isn't up and down, this is the whole thing is sideways at the moment, right? So it's still okay. You also have a bullish harmonic here, and I just want to show you that. So let me just hide these. I'll keep these actually, because this is probably the better chart, because you have so much data so you can see everything, if you're not too bothered about volume. Let me get rid of these brush strokes now. So I'll keep that, and then I'll keep the value area because that was quite important. Okay. And you have a harmonic. You have a bullish harmonic here. I think. It's always I think, isn't it? It's never I know. It's always I think. Whatever. Again, with these bullish harmonics, it could go down. It could still come down there. But that's the beginning of a bullish harmonic. I think just for the sake of... I'm just going to show you as well. I'm going to copy and paste an image and show you, or show everyone who's watching, because I might make a video out of this. 4x ones. I want one with good resolution, because I'm going to copy and paste it. I'm just looking on my other screen, see if I can find. It says 4x. Okay, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's all the same. It's a cipher. You see that one? The bullish cipher. This one here. Because the C is above the A, the X starts off lower, and then the D comes down just to pip the B. You see that? So you have a bullish cipher in play right now. Okay, not this one, not a Gartley. This is a cipher. This one here, bullish cipher. Okay, it looks very much like a bullish cipher to me at the moment. You have a reaction as well. See that? Really nice reaction. It's really nice. It's a really nice bullish harmonic there. So let me just kind of put that in its own little folder as well. With these harmonics, the target is always 50%. Okay, so just bear that in mind. So even though it's, oh fuck, what did I do? Let's hide that now. Even though it's bullish, the target is 50%. So let me just explain that to you. You take it from the top. Let me just mark this. I like to make my points accurate. It takes a bit of time, but it just, I'm a little bit pernickety, a little bit anal about having points on the dot, right? Let me just take it from there to there. A full fib. So that's your target is 50%. That's your first target on this. If this is correct, it should hit there. I would say that's your first target in a bullish cipher like this, assuming that pivot's been put in, because you could get a situation where it's actually more like that. It goes down again for one last drop. These higher time frame ones, I would say they're high probability. Yeah, they're really high probabilities. These higher time frame ones. Yeah. You have an invalidation in this situation, assuming that's the pivot, that's your invalidation. But ultimately, your invalidation is this low here. But again, the problem is if you go down there, you're in another harmonic. So you need tighter invalidations. You can't have such wide invalidations. It doesn't make any sense to have such wide invalidations. Yeah. But you are, whatever happens, you are targeting 50%. So it helps because you know you have a really clearly defined target. But you can clearly see that there was a reaction there. So as far as I'm concerned, it's in play. That's your target. Okay. It looks good, huh? It looks good. And the thing about these harmonics, they're bullish. You get that, and then you can end up with a breakout and you're running. Does that make sense? And what does that look like to you? Looks like an inverse head and shoulders now. Do you see what I'm saying? So it starts off as something and it ends up in something even more aggressively bullish, just on the basis of this bullish cipher on the higher time frame. So that's what it looks like to me. You combine that with the Elliott Wave theory of possibly a corrective move being over, an ABC, ABC, ABC type move, or in this case 5 wave downs, ABC, 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 then you have a lot of strength in this move, potentially in this move, because you have combining factors which give it strength. Okay, plus you're still in the range, plus you're above the point of control. You know, there's a lot of reasons why this could be a good place for longs. With a you can have a relatively tight validation just underneath that pivot low, to be honest with you. And if you're right, you win a lot. So let me just keep that there. Let me just kind of analyze this a little bit more. So I've got the volume. Let me just have a look at this volume again. Let me just do the top volume here. Yeah, that's the same, not a problem. Let's see if there's a difference. All right, I'll put some fibs in now as well because I like fibs. Where did I have that target? No, I deleted it already. Shit. 50 fib is here. I just want to keep that. Golden pocket. I hit the golden pocket twice. Here, look, once, twice. So there's a clear resistance zone there. Let me do a fib from the lows here. I don't know which low to take here. So what I have to do is I have to go to... Oh, I can't see here, can I? It doesn't tell me. Shit. I don't have the data. That's really annoying. I wanted to see what the all-time low is, but it won't tell me. So they've really messed up these charts because you can't tell what the all-time low is to get the overall fib pool. Let's just try some things. Just hide these. Second. I hate that they've done this actually. think that pivot's good, but these pivots, I don't really know which ones to take. Probably this first one, actually, just looking at it. Probably that first one. Yeah, that looks good. I'll tell you why. Because you've got a nice SR flip here off this 786. You've got a reaction here. I've done it wrong. Let me do it the other way. Let me do it the other way. The ratios are really good because as they go up, you've got an SR flip here, like I was saying, reaction there, and then here, look at that, and look at that. Yeah, there's a little bit of ratio. This is quite nice. You've got that there, kind of there. It doesn't always follow, but it's okay. I think I'm okay with that higher time frame fib pull. That means I think this one at the moment the target is going to be that there to take out those highs. That will be the target. That will be your first target in this move based off this harmonic. Okay. Oh, shit. And then naturally you've got this fib off the top there. Let's try this one. Spend a lot of time on this now, haven't I? The yearly candles. That's quite healthy. I look at the yearly time frame candles. You got 2 green years, increasing volume, increasing prices. That's quite healthy. Last year actually it closed higher. It's pulled back all the way down to take the year low, and it's actually in a really good place. Honestly, I really feel like these candles are good. These yearly candles are really nice. So you're in the lows, but the last 2 years have been quite nice. I actually really like these yearly candles. And that 6-month candle is really nice too. That's a really nice red 6-monthly candle. I'll explain why. Again, you've got these green volume and increasing prices, increasing volume. Yeah. Then you've got this red candle, the last 6 months. And look, it closed above the previous 6-month candle low. And it took the liquidity from the previous 6-month candle low. For me, this is a buy. This candle now we're in is a buy candle. 6 month. This 6-month candle is a buy. You could buy that candle. You would target the top, or the top. That's kind of your first target, but you could easily go all the way up for a push. Even this 3-month candle is the 3-month. You see, the problem is the 3-month candle isn't technically not a buy because you close lower, but at the same time you took the liquidity there. So in that sense, it's a buy. And the price dropping, you've got decreasing prices, decreasing volume, which is bullish, not bearish. It's corrective when you get decreasing prices, decreasing volume. It's a corrective volume. So there's a lot of signs here that tell me this is good. And right now on this month, you're looking at an inverse, almost like an inverse hammer, almost. An inverse hammer in the lows of a range is bullish. This is a bullish monthly candle forming here. It's a green inverse. It's not actually a hammer technically, because it's got a little wick underneath it. So what is that candle again? I've got these candle things here. it's one of, I don't know what it's called, Dragonfly Doji or something like that, Morningstar, one of these dojis, but that's a bullish candle on the monthly time frame because the wick is high and it's green, so it's like an inverse hammer in the lows. So I find that to be quite a bullish candle. Okay, and let's see how this week ends, because if you close above the previous week low, again, that's, for me, this is bullish, this red weekly candle, and it's coming back to test. You've got a really nice dividing line there. It's coming back to test. I think this is quite a bullish, potentially a bullish entry for a push up next week. It's quite bullish right now. It's looking quite good. So the candles for me are good, right? The harmonics that I drew are good. Okay. I'm thinking this is quite nice, actually. There's a lot of good things happening here. You've bounced off the point of control of the lows. You've got a possible Elliott Wave camp for at least a 5-wave impulsive move. Has it begun? That's the next question. Has this, I don't know if the impulsive move has begun yet. Unless that was it. That was the first impulse. Let's have a look. Impulse. There's no impulse after that first impulse. Could we get another little drop just to take out these lows? All right, let me just have a look at these timings as well, because I haven't done that. Look at that, 1-to-1. You're coming into the 1-to-1 here, just at the end of this month. I like that. I really like that. And that's coming to the 1.68. You got a really nice fib time coming at the beginning of August, end of this month and beginning of August, just on these corrective pivots that I've marked out. Let me show you. Go to the weekly time frame. So it's a week period. It's kind of here, huh? Look, 1-to-1, 1.618. We're in a little bit of a fib time pivot here right now. So for me, fib time is really important, and I can clearly see that we're coming to a really major time pivot, and then the next one is going to be the end of November. So I do wonder if we get a really nice push up. I think the original, for me, from here, the target would be the all-time high, which is 1,000% increase in value. Yeah, that could be a wave 1 of 3. It would have to be a wave 1 of 3. It would have to be impulsive. Fib time is just basically fib based on time of major Elliott Wave pivots. Yeah, so you've got the end of the last bull market. That's your starting point. You take it from the point, the wave 5, the end of the wave 5. I'm doing it on a week time basis, so you could say, which week do you take? I don't know. I mean, it's probably the highest pivot. So that's the highest one there. That's where it starts. Then you take it to the next pivot. So I'm calculating this as the first W. again, which pivot do you take? Maybe the lowest one, then you're taking it to the X. Yeah. And then that gives you a 618 based on time there, a 1-to-1 based on time, and now you've got a 1.618 based on time, and we're actually coming into the 1.618 based on time. Okay, so it's good because you're coming into a major fib time pivot, which could signify, if it's coming into support, it could signify a really major pivot being put in on support. If it goes into resistance, it'll be a major pivot being put into resistance. It doesn't always work, but often it does. Okay, and so it's good to have a look at it. And then the other thing you can do is just do it just from the simple there to there, which is what I did initially. And it gives you, it comes a little bit earlier, but fib time is an area of time. It's not an exact time. Yeah, so that's why I use the higher time frames weekly. So it kind of gives you an idea that we're coming into an area of time where a major pivot could be put in on the chart. And then the other thing you could do potentially is start from here, from the 0 to the top of the 1 to that doesn't help us now. It does give us some confluence on time pivots, but it doesn't help us. Sometimes you can do it from the 0 to the, from here 0 to the 3 to the 4. Again, it doesn't really help us. It doesn't really give us anything. So only if it gives you something. And so at the moment, I'm just contemplating a WXY corrective pattern, potentially on a higher time frame for another impulsive wave. You just got to be careful, because while everyone is expecting it to be a 3, it could be this whole thing could be corrective. The next wave could be impulsive corrective, like that, really sharp impulsive move like that, and then you could end up with another corrective move like that, and you end up with a higher time frame move like that, which is the whole thing is corrective. So whatever happens, you have to be looking to take profit at the all-time high. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. I have no doubt about that. Yeah, that would be a 1,000% increase in value, and there's no guarantees that we're going to get to the all-time high, because if it doesn't, then you're putting in a lower high, and then you're looking for the golden pocket again, which isn't much, which is like a 300% increase in value. I think all-time high is the target for a higher high here, higher low, because you're putting in higher lows here. Why not go up and take out the high, all-time high? That's really nice, isn't it? Take out the all-time high. That's between 9 to 1,000% increase in value. That would be a really nice payday, and I think that would be the target. I can't see it going any higher. I think everyone who's in this FTM or Sonic, whatever, the minute it goes to all-time high, you're going to have people, everyone is going to be in profit. Every single person is going to be in profit, and so naturally that's going to be your first major resistance. I don't see it smashing through. I think a lot of people have been waiting for the all-time high now for a good part of 3 years, so there's no reason why that won't be your big resistance, and I wouldn't expect the price to break through it. I really wouldn't. It could fake out and then come back down, and then you'd wish you took the profit, kind of like Solana when it kept hitting its all-time high. Hit its all-time high, it was a good take profit, and you saw how Solana came back from $270 or so. It came all the way back to $100. Yeah, that's what I would be thinking, all-time high. So possibly here or somewhere here, all the way up to all-time high by December. That's what I'd like to see, a really impulsive move to December, right up to the all-time high, and people get really bullish at the highs, thinking that this is going to break out and go to the moon, but actually the smart money knows that that's a really good place to take profit and be happy for a nice payday. Have a little bit of running just in case it continues, and if it does, it does, and whatever. That's kind of what I'm thinking. All right, so I'm kind of like a massive you think the real all-time high is around 20% less than the previous one. So in that case, you have to be aware of that, because while I'm looking at the chart, you're going to get people start to scale out at the 886 here, and that would be 650%. That would be around there, and we just don't know. We just don't know, because you could end up putting in a lower high without taking out the high. That could totally happen. It all depends on buying and selling and market pressure and sentiment and the market. And that would be a good place for the price to find resistance, because it's the previous value area high of that higher range there. See that? So the price could easily just kind of find resistance at the previous range value area high and reject without taking out the all-time high. You'll find a lot of people who are waiting for the all-time high don't hit the all-time high, because you have too much sell pressure here, and then it starts to drop, and then everyone who is waiting for the all-time high starts to panic. They start to sell, and then you get real downward pressure. Okay, and then you get a swing failure off a pivot like that back up, and then it starts to look really incredibly bearish again. Yeah, so you're 100% right. It could just find resistance there at 2.47, which is the previous value area high, putting in a lower high like that. Could totally do that. Totally. So we don't know. So the lesson is that you'd have to start scaling out, wouldn't it? Once you hit your targets, higher targets. All right. And then you probably have a yeah, I think that would be a really good target, and that would be 600% from the current price. Be a really nice, healthy target. If you hit the all-time high, that would be your next target, and then I think you would only have a really small position for higher prices, really small. Yeah, and I think that would be it personally. And I actually think probably just because of the way the price moved in FTM, ridiculous percent. I think we're probably in a more of a corrective, higher time frame correction rather than an impulse to higher prices. More like what I was saying before. This for me makes a lot more sense. Just to go up, take the highs or near the highs, and then have this kind of long downward correction, another bear market, come right back to the lows, take out all of these lows, these higher lows. Like something like that for me makes a lot more sense, and the higher time frame. And so that will be your clear exit by the end of this year, December. That would be if you start hitting December, you start getting close or hitting the all-time highs. I think that would be a really nice payday, personally. And then what you have to see, yeah, I mean, who knows what happens next? But I mean, I think probability-wise, this makes more sense. After this crazy move, a much higher time frame, higher time frame corrective pattern like this, big range. And then in that circumstance, your entry point is these lows. All of these lows become your DCA entries on a higher time frame, and you wouldn't even look at this until that happened. And it would be a really good buy then, because then you'd be looking for this correction to continue, and then you'll be looking for a wave 2 to end somewhere in 29 for the next bull market. And then that makes that, for me, that's more realistic, because whenever you put in a wave 3, you are looking to flip the top of the previous bull market high into support, because then the wave 4 can't come back down to break it. Like, for me, something like this makes a lot more sense on a higher time frame, just looking at the structure of the waves. Does that make sense? So that's kind of, at the moment, that's where I would be focused on. And then if whatever happens, happens. Wow, that was a long FTM stream. I'm gonna have to cut that. If you like this stream, if you don't mind, if you appreciate my stream, please give me a like and a subscribe.